Hey everyone, I am back and it is March 23rd. Welcome to another daily vlog experiment. It has been a while. I've been working a lot, which I've been sharing, and I haven't been keeping up with posting every day, which I do hope to get back to that quite regularly. Work has been a lot. It's just been a lot. I've been doing a lot. I've had more responsibilities, which I've shared. I'm also building my business, which I thought there are things that I could share, but I can't share in real time. So, um, yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing back about the pitch. I've reworked some marketing emails to go back to some of the initial folks I reached out to. Well, initial entities reaching out to different folks, sending a different message. So I'm hoping to hear back from that. Um, yeah, it's really cool that folks want to work with me. Um, let's see what else is going on today. Oh, I don't have the. I'll get the. Hold on. Okay, I had to come back. So I went to this play today. Top Dog Underdog at the Pasadena Playhouse. It was phenomenal. But before we get to that, let's reflect over the last couple of weeks. So, like I said, I've been doing more work, um, being tasked with more projects, new projects, old projects, and just trying to manage and not doing all that great all the time. So Friday I called out, my pressure was high, I had a headache, and I wasn't feeling well. And so I had to call off on Friday because I felt myself leaning into burnout. And that's not what I'm here for. And every time you get to a moment of exhaustion where you feel like, hey, I feel like I'm burning out, I always have, I don't know about you, but I always have these existential moments, existential questions. Am I doing the right thing for this time in this season? All the things. Is this what I came to LA for? To burn out at jobs that are not related to um, supporting people in the way that I'm most interested in. And so, yeah, I've been doing some soul searching, which I had a conversation about that today. I went to church, a church in South LA, um, Community United, and had a conversation with the pastor. And I asked for official mentorship. Um, yeah, so we'll see what comes of that. That's going to be a journey that I'm not sure how much I can share in real time, but I will share what I can as I've been doing. It's so interesting that my life is changing, right? Like I'm burning out at work. I'm feeling overwhelmed on one end. And on the other end, all of these opportunities, all of these ways to support folks and ways to do what I came here to do, thinking about content creation, web series, all the things. And it's like, I don't know, I'll say this. Something's got to give soon because what I'm called to do, the creativity piece, the creation piece, the writing piece, the shaking hands and kissing babies, the social piece is missing in my life. Not from like a friendship standpoint or talking to, my people, but I mean like in terms of vocation where um, purpose and career meet. Someone's gonna have to give soon. So I'm holding on. The old folks that I am yet holding on. So there is that. So that's why you haven't seen me in a while. Um, yeah, so I recuperated this weekend to really feel my best. I will have to do about 2 hours worth of work today because when you are sick, you're not at your optimum productivity and deadlines are still deadlines. And that's the thing about corporate culture. Like in higher ed, though I don't want to go back to teaching in the way that I taught before, especially now in this political climate, higher ed, being a professor, you can move some due dates. You can, your schedule is set, but there is room for flexibility. In the corporate spaces, there is not a lot of room for flexibility. I'll leave it at that. But anyway, let's talk about this play. Top Dog Underdog. So this was really good. And the guy, Brandon Hall, he was in this show. Let me double check, make sure I said his name. I think it's Brandon Michael Hall. Um, both actors were really great, but yeah, Brandon Michael Hall. He was in this show this CBS show called God Friended Me, and my dad and I used to watch that weekly. So that was like near and dear to my heart. Here are the two actors. Susan Lori Parks wrote the play, and the director, his name is Greg T. Daniel. I've heard of him before. Yeah, I think I studied. Yeah, I've heard of him before from my MFA program. Anyway, so the play is basically about, I'm not going to give it away, but give it all away. But basically, it's about two brothers. And the synopsis reads that they're dealing with issues of, actually, I'll tell you, I'll read something that tells you about the themes. So these are weaves themes of family, race, destiny into a rich story. There's also, okay, so it says the playwright offers us a look into the lives of two black men who experience love, loss, and a search for identity. Miss Parks also invites us to experience the joy, humor, and lifelong familiarity that exists between the men while juxtaposing their existence in poverty, racism, and violence. And I read somewhere online, maybe it was online, where they talk about just the interplay of and the complexity of masculinity and greed and a few other things. So the play was very relevant. Basically, you have two brothers who are orphans, and you find out their story of how they became orphans, and they grow up, you know? And one brother is trying to hustle. Both brothers are trying to hustle. One brother is trying to leave the life that they used to hustle. The other brother is trying to perfect his hustling skills. And so you see the interplay with that. You also see the interplay of this idea that, like, wishfulness, right? That folks can be wishful, and this idea that we're holding on to this idea of something, these concepts, these dreams. And one thing that I've been sharing for the last, since the inauguration, I'll say for the last couple months now, is this idea that just because someone says something doesn't make it true. And I think about that in a myriad of things, but I also think about that when I think about, like, for example, in my family, when someone is sick, few people really grapple with the gravity of folks' sickness until it's like at the end, when it's like, oh, we got to go see so-and-so because, the doctors are telling us it's nothing they can do. And it's never this conversation about end of life in terms of, like, what is happening to the person outside of the authority of a doctor. So the doctor tells us. So the doctor says there's nothing more we can do. The hospital is saying, the hospital is telling us. And so I realized that in my family, not just my family, but other families, the veil of life is so thin, and that anytime that veil is going to be separated, where people transition from time to eternity, it's this idea that it's really hard to grapple with. It's really hard to make sense of that transition, and it's really hard to process it. And so there's a level of helplessness that happens. And it doesn't have to do with, from time to eternity. This could just be regular sickness. This could just be something happening. But this idea that some other entity is either allowing or forcing something to happen. There's an absence of autonomy. And I will say, even when it does come to transitioning from time to eternity, there is some level of autonomy when folks say that they're tired. The opportunity, I don't know if folks always get, I won't say understand, but I don't know if we always get, including myself, the power and being able to say, hey, I'm tired. And it's almost as if you're commanding your transition in a way where you're going because you're tired, that your light isn't being extinguished too soon, that there is the power of saying, hey, I'm tired. Now, folks can debate about what does it mean to be tired, who's calling the shots, all the things. But I think about so many young people who don't reach the age of 21, who don't reach the age of 18, and they didn't have the opportunity to say that they were tired. And so when I think about that, and I think about just the ways that my family uses wishful thinking, my family is just so positive, leaning on toxicity. Everybody's all right. Everything is all right. It's always going to work out. And so when I think about the play, Top Dog, Underdog, this idea that one of the brothers is just so almost delusional, I would say. But just this idea that one of the brothers just has this narrative. But you can tell, I mean, it was excellent acting, just phenomenal. You can tell that he's grappling with telling a story that just because he told it didn't make it true. And so, yeah, it was just like really good. A couple of themes that came up too is this notion of greed. But I also think that greed goes hand in hand with being stingy, too much or too little. And I really want to explore this idea of greed and stinginess. I've been thinking about it for a while, and this play really reminded me about it. I want to look at that from a writing standpoint. It's time for me to write again. And not just a film script. So, fun fact, I decided I'm also going to take a script writing class online. I just have to see when they're running it again with this organization in Virginia that I think is a phenomenal organization. So I'm going to work on that. But this spring, I'm going to work on a play. It's been a long time. So, yeah, that's why I love the theater. And I chit-chatted with a bunch of folks because I like that. And I will say this. I don't know if y'all knew this, but I found this out, that there are theaters that let you eat and drink in there like the movies. So I had eaten breakfast, but I didn't eat lunch, and I needed a little snack. And so they had like a bar, and I had, I got a soda, and then I got some chips, and then I was going to eat it out there. And the bartender gave me a cup to put my soda in, and he was like, you can eat it in there. I said, what? They were like, yeah, a lot of theaters like that. But mind you, I've been to the theater quite a few times in recent years, and I've never seen that. So I was like, yes. I bought a ticket at the box office. I didn't go online. I was like, let me just go up there. The ticket was $60 even, no transaction fees or anything like that. And the play was worth it. I think the play was definitely worth it. I sat in the second row on the end. There's parking across the street, so I love that because I had to drive. And it had been a while since I drove that far. I mean, I drive around here, but so it's good to drive. It's good to jam in the car. I had a good Sunday. Y'all. I will say this. Thank you so much for being on this journey as I, Lucy, evolve. And I'll see you next time.